Key elements of the code: quality, governance, and compliance. Hello again. For this part of the module, make sure you have a copy of the code handy as a reference as we guide you through the key elements of the document and how to navigate it. What you may have noticed is that the actual Code of Conduct is a relatively short document supported by a separate and longer quality assurance framework. Let's start with looking at the structure of the Code of Conduct document and what it covers to help you navigate your way through it. We will look at the quality assurance framework in part 3 of the module. You will see that the code is introduced by a preamble, an outline of the values that underpin it, and a statement of its purpose and objectives. We've already learned about these aspects of the code in the previous video. Next, you'll see a section on governance of the code. This explains that the code is owned by the ACFID members, and any changes must be approved by a majority of members at the annual ACFID Council meeting. It also outlines the role of the Code of Conduct Committee, which is an independent body that makes decisions on the code's signatory status of ACFID members, compliance assessments, and complaints. Next, the code addresses compliance with the code. This section clearly outlines the expectations of members and the mechanisms that are used to assure compliance. We will explore this further in the final part of this training module. Finally, we have the core content of the code, the 9 quality principles and commitments. The quality principles of the code outline the high-level principles of practice that, when taken together, contribute to effective development and humanitarian action outcomes and increased stakeholder trust. You'll see that the quality principles are conceptually represented in a diagram that organises them into 3 clusters within a circle. The first 3 quality principles are shown in the inner cluster. These represent the core focus of our work, or in other words, our approaches to achieving effective development and humanitarian outcomes. Rights, protection and inclusion is the quality principle that recognises the value in respecting and protecting human rights and promoting inclusion. Participation, empowerment and local ownership acknowledges the importance of empowering local stakeholders and local systems. And sustainable change focuses on the need to contribute to development outcomes that will endure. In the second or middle cluster, we have 3 quality principles that represent the way that we work. Quality and effectiveness is the quality principle that requires us to invest in evidence, planning, assessment and learning. Collaboration recognises the value in investing in coordination, collaboration and partnership. And communication acknowledges the importance of communicating truthfully and ethically. In the outer cluster, we have the final 3 quality principles, which represent how we run our organisations, the systems, processes and policies that enable us to implement our work. The quality principle relating to governance requires us to govern our organisations in an accountable, transparent and responsible way. Resource management relates to financial resources and the environment, focusing on the value of acquiring, managing and reporting on resources ethically and responsibly. And finally, people and culture recognises the importance of managing and supporting our staff and volunteers fairly and effectively. The 9 quality principles of the code all link to and support each other. None of the quality principles in isolation will achieve effective development outcomes. Rather, it is the interrelated nature of the clusters of quality principles that forms a united and cohesive framework to inform our work and good practice. Now we will look at the 9 quality principles and their associated commitments. Commitments are the behaviours you must comply with as an ACFID member and signatory to the code. There are 32 commitments in total. We won't go through all of 32 commitments in this learning module. Instead, we'll give you a couple of examples and how they relate to the quality principles. Let's look at quality principle number 5, collaboration. This quality principle requires us to coordinate, collaborate and partner with others. It has 3 commitments. The commitments focus on respecting our partners, building a shared understanding of how to work together, and investing in effective partnerships. Here's another example. Quality principle number 8 is resource management. This quality principle requires us to acquire, manage and report on resources ethically and responsibly. Its 3 commitments focus on sourcing resources ethically, ensuring that funds and resources are properly controlled and managed, and reporting on the acquisition and use of resources. So there you have it. You should now feel more familiar with the Code of Conduct document. Hopefully that has given you some clarity around not only how to navigate through the code, but why it's been put together in the way that it has. Let's take a moment to recap and test your familiarity with the code document before we then start to delve into how you can meet your compliance requirements.